Okay, you ready? You guys are ready? So yeah, just hit the thing when you know, when you want to make a guess. Geoff.
Gotta be Zigaboo.
Yep.
No, listen a little longer.
Oh, Stanton.
Oh yeah, it is. Now you can
Who
hear
is
it. No. That's exactly who it is.
Well, I got it wrong. You got it.
Who was it?
No, you said it.
Wasn't it Stanton Moore?
It's Stanton Moore.
Okay. It sounds like Leo on guitar.
It did sound like Zigaboo, didn't it? Like a meter's
Right
cue.
away, yeah. Just
So
was
Stanton
more
Moore
meters.
from what? From
Galactic?
Galactic,
Galactic.
right? And
The song I'm unsure about.
it's called Funky Bird.
Funky Bird.
Funky Bird, yeah.
Don't
So
you
I
have a
reached
connection
out
to
to
that man?
a lot of friends to get ideas, and I reached out to our friend Steve Dawson, and he's like, play some Stanton Moore for Geoff Hicks.
Oh, gosh. I can't believe I almost messed up.
You got it.
And he said he'll be really mad if he doesn't guess.
I got it. It took a
So you
second.
got it. But I think Stanton Moore would probably be, you know, he'd like that you thought it was Zigaboo too,
Yeah, I
right?
think he
yeah,
would,
for sure,
actually.
because he'd be, that's...
Have you had Stanton in here
no,
for your shows?
No,
Okay.
Galactic are fabulous though.
Jeff has stories. I'm
I'm
pretty
sure.
Came through town with Galactic in like '96, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. But I went down there. There's like 30 people, and I couldn't. My mind was so blown. I was like, what is this happening? I couldn't believe it. And I was by myself. I stayed till the end of the night, and I had to approach him. I had to say something, and I was like, I've never heard anything like this before. Where I'm from, like, we just don't hear these rhythms, and like, what are you doing? And he was super cool. We're roughly the same age, and as the club was closing, the lights came on, he played stuff on his kit, and we talked about the rhythms of New Orleans. And I was just like, dude, I can't believe it. And he was staying a couple days. I said, do you want to have lunch tomorrow? I'll take you for lunch. I took him for a Vietnamese sub at this crazy place on Hastings I used to go to, which was great because he's all about the food. And we had a great time. And then I said, do you want to play some drums? I've got 2 kits at my place set up. I used to have this crazy band house with 2. And we went, and I was like picking his brain. And he was so generous with his time. And we just totally hit it off. And he was like, you got to come to Jazz Fest in New Orleans. And you can stay with me. And I was like, what? And this friendship formed. And I did not forget. And I went that year.
Oh, so what year was that?
96, 97.
Oh, wow.
And I went every year after that and stayed with him for the next 5 years, maybe.
Fantastic. I've been once, and what a great festival.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So good.
Especially hanging with him because he knew all the cool things to do, and I could sort of like help. Like if I helped him like cart his drums around, I got into all his cool shows, and he introduced me to Zig and to Johnny Vidakovich and all these guys, and
Wow.
I get to be right there watching, and just like it was such an education, and it was really a sweet way to treat a guy from Canada.
Okay, the next track number 2.
O meu maracatu é da coroa imperial. O meu maracatu.
Is that Nana Vasconcelos?
Yes. So
I recognize his voice.
the great
Yeah.
Brazilian
Oh yeah.
percussionist. So of course I want to honor your Brazilian influences, Liam. You've traveled there. Obviously, it's a place of incredible rhythms, and
Yeah.
that's the real grounding, the foundation of their music. So
Huge influence, and Nana and Ayrton especially, you know, because I only played drum set until I was about 23, I think, and then I just got obsessed, you know, with percussion and in particular Brazilian percussion. And I saw Ayrton play this instrument, the pandeiro, do a solo all by himself, and he was just singing, and he was playing this, and he had a whistle, and I'm like, Jesus, that sounds like a complete drum set, and it sounds like this percussion troupe, and he's just up there. And then there's a guy like Nano who is a master of the brumbao, which is like this big bow that you'll see the capoeiras play, and he would write whole compositions around certain rhythms, and obviously a really cool singer, and he would have these like, before loops were a thing, he would do loops with his, just within himself, and he'd have these like really primitive loopers in the early days, and He was such a cool
Wow.
percussionist and
That would have been something.
composer. Yeah. But yeah, all that stuff is so inspiring, and even now when I listen to that, it's just
And you've
love
been
it.
to Brazil yourself.
I've been lots of
you've-
times. Yeah, it all started. I used to go to these intensive, like 7-day Brazilian music camps in the Redwoods in California. I did that 2 years in a row, and they would bring all the faculty that would be there would be from Brazil, and you would just play all day. And then the following year, I went to Brazil for a month and a half, and I went for 6 weeks every year for I think 5 or 6 years in a row, and that was just great. I mean, to go down there and I went there and studied a lot of different things, and but just you get into the rhythmic stuff, but then you see why the rhythms are the way they are when you're there for more than just a holiday. You're there for a little bit longer than a holiday. The food, the weather, the way people talk, the way they walk, you see all these things, the reason why their music is the way it is, especially when Rio is completely different from 1,500 miles away in Bahia, or Nana Vasconcelos was born in this state called Pernambuco, and the rhythms are totally different up there, and it's such a cool place.
Oh, it's a rich world. We
Yeah.
had Ciro Baptista, a wonderful percussionist here at Cap,
Yeah, he's
quite
fantastic.
a few years ago. And we've had a few Brazilians over the years, and it's always a pleasure to get them here.
Who was Ciro with when he was here?
He was with
it his
Banquet of the Spirits
Oh,
band.
yeah. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. Well, it's nice to take a little bit more exotic percussion into this. Okay, track number 3.
That's very polite. Give it a good.
That's not confident.
Okay, Liam's ready to guess. Liam,
That's
you
not
ready?
a confident ring in.
No.
We're just guessing the drummer. I was thinking the guitar player.
That should help you, though, if you know the guitar player.
His cymbal beat's funny. Is it Idris Muhammad on drums?
No. No. Does anyone want to hear a little bit more for the guess?
I wouldn't mind hearing it a little
Bit
bit
more?
more.
Bit more?
For a
Okay.
second, I thought it was Lifetime, but then that's upright bass.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Tony though, does it?
No, I don't think so. His cymbal is so thick. Sounds like.
I'm stumped. I'm totally stumped.
So it's a Canadian band, but the drummer was based in Vancouver. Trio. So yeah, I'm going to give you the guitarist is Lenny Bro.
Oh, is it Claude Ranger on? Oh,
It's-
okay. And who is the rest of the band?
So Don Thompson on bass.
Ah,
Okay,
right.
fabulous recording. So it was literally a year before Claude. So Claude Ranger was based in the Vancouver area from like '87 till he disappeared. Like he literally left his home in the year 2000 and has never been seen since.
Yeah.
No one knows what happened to him. He had planned to quit the music. Yeah. So I reached out to Ron Samworth. You guys probably know Ron, a great guitarist.
Claude was very eccentric, reclusive, and very difficult. He was, he had substance abuse problems. And by the time he had stopped playing, he'd been diagnosed with bipolar syndrome. His legacy is also a legacy of many, many broken relationships, which is why he moved from Quebec to Ontario to British Columbia. There was a lot of carnage in his wake. He was also very inconsistent in pretty much every situation I worked with him. When he felt great, it was beautiful. The music was as great as any music I've ever played. He was truly one of the world's finest drummers. And very exciting coming out of the Tony Williams Tony Williams, Elvin Jones tradition, but also open to playing in more free situations. At heart, he was just a burning modern drummer, but he had a very expansive conception of jazz. And I felt really privileged to play with him. It was almost knocked the breath out of you once he started playing. It was that invigorating, you know, and at times terrifying. He also always had a 6-pack of beer of Molson's on the bandstand. And so, you know, the first couple of times I played with him, he'd be burning along and he'd be playing, and all of a sudden it would sort of stop, or the texture would really thin out, or it would even stop. And chances are he was either lighting a smoke or opening a new can of beer.
Right.
And then, or he would just sort of keep the music going, or he would, and then he'd be. The first couple of times I was unnerved. I thought, oh shit, he doesn't like what I'm playing, so he's stopping, or is he mad at the band or whatever, you know, what the heck's going on, you know? And you turn around and you go, oh, Claude is just opening a beer. But we had a massive falling out on the bandstand where Claude stopped the band, and I went and started yelling at him, and yeah, it was a debacle. He just flipped out. He didn't like what Dave Say was playing and decided that he needed to stop the band. And then we were all so rattled that we tried to start up again, and then he just kind of threw his sticks down and split. So I went and chewed him out for about 10 minutes, and we didn't play for a while. And then we had a jazz festival gig, and then shortly thereafter, Claude stopped playing and got himself into therapies to wean himself off of substances. And I had the last time I saw him, a very moving experience. I ran into him on the seawall. It was quite a foggy day. And he just kind of he was walking the other direction, and I was walking towards him. I lived down there at the time, and it was like, Claude, man, how are you? You know, we had a hug, and it's like, wow, you know, where have you been? Oh, I've been living out in the Fraser Valley and working on stuff, you know, trying to heal and get better. And, you know, he said to me, you know, I will never play music again. He says, I played with the greatest musicians in the world. And he said, I've been a great musician, and now I just want to be a great human being. And I thanked him for, you know, playing together, and how much he inspired me, and how much it meant to me. I said, you're like a father to me, and, you know, my peers. You really, you know, you really lifted us up musically. And we said goodbye, and I never saw him again. And shortly thereafter, he disappeared from his halfway house and was never seen again. Claude was a one in a gazillion artist. I mean, he was really, really touched by genius. I'm sorry, it's really easy to throw that word around, but he was the real deal.
Sad,
Crazy
but
story. Crazy
great story. Okay,
Really not
guys, well,
much
we
about
come to
what-
the
what
final
he all did,
tune.
Well, I think we all know what it is.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Yeah.
But there's only 2
Okay,
books
well,
left.
in unison, guys.
Ready?
One, two, three.
The meter,
Zigaboo.
Yeah.
More or less,
The meters,
yes.
yeah.
So talk about his style, and if he's a mentor to any of you guys. Or
He's just so unique. I'd never heard anyone play the bass drum like that. I didn't understand what he was doing on the snare and the hi-hat, and so unique and so organic and so deeply funky. It just was a mystery.
So it's been really fun for me just to dive into and focus on drummers, because I always learn so much and appreciate drummers all the more. But I just wondered, like, if you guys have one particular mentor who stands above all the others. Like, so Geoff, like, do you have who's your hero?
Drum hero.
Drum hero, yeah.
Ooh, it's so
I
hard.
think you can't do one.
It's
Can't
so
do
hard
one.
with
It's
just
too hard
one.
to pick one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys like John Bonham, we would all three say were like fundamentally
God, yeah.
instructive because of the kind of music we play. But for me, it was also the Neil Peart thing. Even though I don't play like him, it was the guy
Yeah,
that
same.
inspired me to continue on.
Yeah.
So I'd say that Crosby, and then Stuart Copeland's a distant third because he made it super cool.
I'm the same 3. And then I discovered Tony Williams. And it was his, you know, Post Miles Electric thing. And it was because I've been listening to fusion and was getting my head into the jazz. And it was all of that. And John Bonham. I saw him play it at 86th Street.
I was there in 88, 89.
Was it 88? Yeah. And it was, his dynamics are as quiet as you think any great jazz drummer would be, with really big, he uses really big sticks.
Yeah.
round, like 2Bs or something,
Yeah.
to as loud as any Dave Grohl kind of level of rocking. Like, it's just incredible. Like his spirit and his soul is just massive.
Liam, do you have anyone else to add to this?
Well, beside,
lovely
yeah,
list?
to all these for sure. Stuart
Steve
Copeland is huge. But I think the one that came later, like those were all the early, like John Bonham, all those guys. But the ones that came later for me would definitely be, even though I don't play like these guys at all, but would be like an Elvin Jones and like a Brian Blade. These guys are massive for me. Galvin especially, like it's the most beautiful mess you can ever imagine. It's like a firestorm or something, just rolling and tumbling around the drums, but it all feels so awesome, you know, like, and groovy and
Primal.
yeah. Yeah, like I was saying about Nana, like a drum troupe, like Alvin kind of sounds like that. And then a guy like Brian Blade, you know, he's obviously comes from like the Alvin Jones school and you know, the church thing. But the reason why a guy like him's inspiring, that I've always thought, because is he plays with so many different people. He'll do like a kind of a Bob Dylan gig he's played with and recorded with Bob Dylan, but then he'll be playing super kind of straight ahead gig, but then he plays with Wayne Shorter and he's playing stuff that's
Way out.
way out there, you know. And because I do a lot of music that's really straight ahead, quiet singer-songwriter stuff, and play with a band like Haram and some other groups, that a guy like that's really inspiring. I'm like, hey, maybe you can do a bunch of different stuff. Because I do beat the crap out of my hands on these congas, and then I'll go to a drum set gig the next day and my hands will feel swollen, you know? Like,
Yeah, swollen, yeah.
And I'm like, well, these guys do it. They must have to do it. You have to figure out, a way to do it.
How about play some music for us now? What do you think?
We should play some.
You
Is that
guys
what
were,
you're saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
we
We
you
brought it all
brought
in.
out your kits, so you guys are all just going to jam out. And thank you so much for being part of this. That was super. I hope it was as much fun for you guys as it was for me.
Super fun.
Super fun. What a great
Thanks,
thing you
Fiona.
did.
We'll have to have another one, yeah.
Are you busy tomorrow?
Do you want me to start it off, and then
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
pass it to you?
Pandera.
Oh, he's standing up.
Oh, jeez. Kind of have to.
Oh, jeez.
It's good? Yeah.
Sweet.